So good to be back on stage. That's a couple of boring speaking in front of computers since 1 year and a half. My name is Jean-Christophe Bonis. I'm very used to coming in Ukraine since more than 10 years now. Obviously, with my French accent, it's still working well. I decided today to face a challenge. Speaking in front of people specialized in data science and explaining them how AI doesn't exist. I'm French. I love challenges. So AI doesn't exist. Let's explain the things. We are dreaming since more than 10 years about AI, artificial intelligence, the dream of a new world and everything. That's a dream, guys. It's just a dream. Data science, it's cool. It's mathematics, statistics, artificial intelligence. Intelligence. It's not existing at all. Let's begin by the beginning. No misunderstanding between us. Huh? We can do amazing things. Here is MIT algorithm, able 5 years before to explain and to see if you have a breast cancer or not. 5 years before, just with data. Data, science, mathematics, statistics. Amazing, not intelligence. Data science. This is a car, thanks to my friend from NVIDIA. They are doing an amazing job. Self-driving, soon we will have that everywhere. Amazing, the car doesn't understand at all what it's doing, at all. Data science, statistics, mathematics. Here is our friend from SpaceX. Again, it's algorithms, mathematics, able to, in real time, adapt trajectories. It's amazing, huh? That's crazy. We will face a new race in space, polluted space after Earth. Lovely. But still, it's nothing in link with intelligence. What I try to explain you is the fact that we are speaking about artificial intelligence, but at the basics, just the fact we are using the name artificial intelligence is a huge fake. Because it's nothing in link with intelligence. We are trying to cheat on population, to cheat on people, explaining them how much we are able to create something that is artificially intelligent. We are even not clever ourselves. So let's try to see what is artificial intelligence. My friend earlier, my colleague earlier described it, so I will try to describe it another way. Basically, when we created the internet, we needed to be able to access internet, to have a search on the web, and Google arrived with indexation of the web. This indexation was done with words. You write on Google, on Yandex, on everything you want, and you find information on web by words. Cool. Internet 1.0. And after, someone called Steve Jobs decided that media is quite interesting to put inside a smartphone. You began to have iPhone, and now we have not only iPhone or media by iPhone, by Samsung, or anything else. We can see the words by media. But it's a problem for a computer, because when you want this lovely lady on Instagram to find this top, how are you doing? Words, alors, so pullover, gray, fashion show, Paris, girl, millions of pages. And that's where, middle of, let's say 2005, 2006, 2007, you had this big company beginning to think how to make a search with media. And that's interesting because if you look at that in a way of when artificial intelligence began to be the trend in terms of venture capital, when people began to invest, 2012. Why? Because for a computer, Wall-E, I love Wall-E. But the computer doesn't see Wall-E. The computer sees pixels. There is, inside the code, a point. This point is this color at this place. More you have points, better the quality of the picture is. But behind the points, the computer doesn't have any idea what is in behind. So, again, we needed to be able to give a tool to the computer, to the machine, to have the same senses than us. Hearing, speaking, looking, understanding, sorry, bad words. Being able to see and to recognize, and that's why we created all the technology around artificial intelligence to be able, basically, to create Nemo. But when our friend, NVIDIA, I took that from you. Amazing word, by the way. Amazing. When you see that, that's in real time what the computer is doing when you have a car inside the street and a self-driving car. So it's able to recognize what is exactly the different parameters, and inside that to recognize who is what, but the car by itself, the system by itself behind, the computer, the GPU, doesn't understand what is exactly behind. It's just able to recognize and to match depending on a calculation. So the concept of recognition, of a computer understanding, the concept of intelligence, is stupid by itself. You see what I mean? Obviously. Let's keep following. So, is artificial intelligence really clever? But obviously, I answer the question, but it's interesting to try to understand. You have here, let's say Tom, and you have here Wally. What's the difference between both? Wally without sensor doesn't understand anything. Tom understands everything, but not only with the brain. He's understanding everything with the body, with more than only the brain. And Wally can't do the same things than Tom. It's a bit like Mac and PC, you know, at a period of time. Well, I'm Mac, obviously. So, that's exactly the same for a dog. Look at a dog, I don't know if you have a dog, I love dogs. I have more dogs than cats. Cats are, that's bitches, that's not good. So, dogs in front of a mirror, but doesn't recognize itself. You see the dog, and the dog is like that. I don't know if you tried. And you were so in love with your dog before, and after you go away. You know, that's a bit ashamed. That thing is not true, for example, with an elephant. If you put an elephant and you make a cross, white one, on the head of the elephant, and you put the elephant in front of a mirror, the elephant with himself try to clean the head. It means that the elephant, and that's the same with dolphin, they are having a consciousness about themselves. That's the beginning of understanding. When you take this arm, robots, amazing, what we can do now is a mix between AI and robots. Robotic is lovely, but this arm doesn't understand anything about what is touching. We can give back the sensation now, but the concept of understanding is not true. And again, the concept of understanding and of intelligence is very, very complicated, even for us. What means intelligence? That is intelligence, typically for a computer. Ability to calculate a lot, fast, way better than us. We can't compete. And that's why we are absolutely shit in front, exactly like you were explaining, in medicine, in some repetitive task. That's not our task. We are not done to do anything on a repetitive way. But ask this computer to tell you if you have a flu or not. At that, just these simple things. You need to match parameters. And to match these parameters are something totally different. It's not a high level of calculation. It's something that is more logical. That's a link in terms of reflection. That a computer doesn't know how to do. And that's why IBM Watson, for example, is having so much problem inside this field. So, my point today is, I'm a big fan of AI, let's be clear, okay? But my point today is to try to figure out four problematic we all face inside I'm inside the timing, yes. Inside this industry and inside the research. First one, progress in narrow intelligence is progress towards general intelligence. Example. OpenAI is nowadays the most developed system able to basically create language on a complicated way. Couple of months ago, you saw OpenAI linking with GitHub to create coding. Basically, what does that mean? Everyone who is learning coding is losing his time. Because today we will have the necessity with this kind of technology and ability to create automatically code, and the concept of coding and learning coding is just a loss of time. You need to understand architecture behind. But when we are speaking about that, we are still speaking about speech. One part of cleverness. We are not speaking about movement, we are not speaking about anything else. So it's still the same type of intelligence. It's exactly the point I wanted to tell. We are not speaking about something global. Second point. What is easy for humans should be easy for machines. That's a big joke. Let me introduce you to Arthur. That's not my children, but anyway, imagine Arthur. You put Arthur, for those who have children, in front of a coffee machine, getting ready for doing coffee. Usually the goal and the answer is all the time the same. Arthur crying. Amazing. For us, it's logical. Arthur will understand the next time that don't put your hand inside the coffee machine. That link is impossible for a computer. This link means, and that's also something that is a limit of data processing and so on we face now. These simple things for us is unbelievably complicated for a computer. That's the second point. Third point, it's a problematic of description, wording. Typically, when we tell artificial intelligence, just the fact that for public, press, everyone explaining that we developed artificial intelligence, people are trying immediately to put that in their word. A computer is reading. A computer is understanding. Guys, fuck, a computer doesn't understand anything. That's not understanding, that's not thinking. That's processing data and doing mathematics. And this part is very important. And that's why we all, specialists as we are, press and so on, having a big need of explaining what is happening, because people are facing now worldwide hopes, wishes, fears. Oh, AI will take our job. Please, let's be serious a bit. That thing is very important. That's the third point. Fourth one, intelligence is all in our head. That's a big debate. I'm part of the people considering that intelligence is global, meaning when you have a body, the body is a mix with a lot of sensation, feelings, senses. And that's the same with a sensor for machine able to give you a perception of one environment. When you eat, when you touch, when you hear, when you smell, all of that are giving informations. Without these informations, you can't have a perception of your environment. And without this perception of this environment, you can't process the information coming back to the past, understanding the future, anticipating. So that's a mix way more complicated than only mathematics and data processing. That things is definitely, and we are definitely far away from any type of artificial intelligence. We can do amazing things in clever software. We can do amazing things in some dedicated parts, banking, for example, and so on. But we can't face, and we are even not close, I will not leave that in my life, to any type of clever software, clever enough to be called as intelligence. So, does it exist? No, I just answer the questions. Mathematics is everywhere, but at the same time, we need to be able also to understand, I'm finishing, to understand that understanding what we are doing and the consequences of AI is also very important, because AI is also for us impacting our life on a bad way, like for example, the fake news we are facing on a daily basis. Typically, that's AI. It's cool, but imagine that on a very high level, and now you understand why politicians are so weak and it's so complicated now to go on. Thank you. It was fun to mess up the day.
Yeah, there will be some questions, and I doubt that people recorded quite a lot of virus videos and put them to TikTok right now.
I have a question. I mean, not really a question here.
Up.
Yeah.
Be nice.
Maybe not. I don't know. Just a comment. I not really in line with what you've said. I'm sorry.
It's normal. You are a specialist of AI of BNP, so.
No. I wouldn't qualify myself as a specialist of AI, but it's something I know quite for a while. I think some of you. I mean, I understand the point you want to make, that there is a lot of things wrong that is said today on AI, but I wouldn't be so assertive as you, as we are far from having something that we could call intelligent. And I think first you need to define what you speak by intelligence. There has been a lot of work in the past. People think that it's since 10 years. It's actually since 50 years that we are trying to do artificial intelligence. And there has been a lot of work in the 80s on this subject. And as you said, you cannot learn with a computer. As you said, it's just computation, and I cannot learn from my mistake. There is a big field of learning that is called reinforcement learning, which is exactly doing that in artificial intelligence.
Yeah, but again, I agree with you. DeepMind and everything about Google Brain. I saw the speech about Google earlier. It's crazy what they are able to do with Google Brain inside the department. But at the end of the day, the algorithm is not understanding what it is doing. So
okay, what I propose you is we have a drink later.
With pleasure.
And
with great pleasure for that.
With great pleasure. We are going to solve that right now here. Okay, thank you.
Okay, having my right as a speaker to ask you a question. So, just your opinion I'm interested in. Do you think we really need intelligent machines that do understand why they're stopping before they see the pedestrian or not? So do you think yes or no?
I think you're fully right. For the moment, we need process of automatization. But the big problem is when we are trying to use artificial intelligence or quantum computing, for example, and to solve problematic of healthcare, problematic of pollution, and so on, where you are not trying to do any type of automatization, but trying to do the brain way of human to accelerate the research. On that way, it's understanding. And that's a big debate, again, about what is accelerating, not accelerating. I consider today that if I'm not understanding what I'm doing, even if I'm doing it well, it's not intelligence. It's a perfect software of automatization. And all this process is even if the things are moving fast, but that's something very important to explain to the public, and that's also why I took this opportunity to do that.
So you think we need to change the wording? It's not
I
intelligence,
definitely think we need to change the wording.
And it's okay.
Definitely. When I have a child who is asking me after a lecture, what if tomorrow the computer will be more intelligent than the father, or things like that, that's a problematic today. That's clear.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Can I proceed?
Yeah.
My name is Bogdan. I'm an entrepreneur. So, if you look deep in the future, is it possible to have real AI,
I think
like
we will.
machine artificial?
I think we will arrive, and that's where I agree with you. I think we will arrive sooner or later because it's going very fast, and definitely with the power of calculation, the quantum computing, the new way of reinforcement learning, and so on, we will arrive at a moment of time with a type of artificial intelligence on level 3, level 4, where you can consider it as intelligence. But at that moment of time, we will face other problematic inside the society because explain a computer who is able to understand why you need to follow us and as human being. And at that moment of time, we are getting inside the singularity theories and all these type of things. For me, so far, even if that's going fast in some ways, in the next 10 years, it's not on the desk. After, certainly by the quantum computing, accelerating by X the power of calculation. Definitely.
Jean-Christophe, thank you for a bright and strong speech. Mostly agree with your points, and definitely it's not intelligence. But I'm quite curious about the case when there are some cases actually about the inventions when machine was used into this invention, and some code was developed, and some part of this code wasn't actually clear for inventors, and when they read off of this part of this code from the whole code, the efficiency was dumping, and when they put it again, the efficiency was rising. Can you please try to define what is it?
So you are explaining me, if I understand well, why sometimes when you are using AI to develop some code is better than when you are not using human people, or you are not understanding what is happening inside that?
Yeah, what is the black box and why we can't understand why is this part of this code?
The concept of black box inside artificial intelligence is basically you put data on top, algorithm on neural network, meaning by slice, are trying to process the data and to get out of this data something that is with a usage for us as human. That's the big concept of data science. The problem of that is when you don't understand what is happening inside the black box, you can't use that, and it's complicated to explain. Typically now, in Industry 4.0, in healthcare, and so on, we need to be able to develop, and that's what is happening, explainability of the black box. What is going on? What was the road of information from the data to the result to access to this result? And typically in healthcare, medical usage, and so on, if you are not able to do that, you can't access and you can't use algorithms, data science on a high level, and all these things for this type of medical usage. Sometimes, inside the black box, it's processing on ways we can't explain because we still are not able to explain fully the process, and that's something I don't know if he's not listening. That's something we are making a lot of research right now. We can't explain everything inside the black box, and that's exactly where we are trying to explain, to understand the road and to understand why this decision was taken at that moment of time. It's still a big process.
Okay, it's like about the science, so we are trying to understand the logic of this
exactly,
of the process.
Exactly.
But it's like it doesn't mean that machine is smarter. It means that we don't see all the...
We don't see the process inside.
Links, yeah?
Exactly.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Jean-Christophe.
No, last one? No, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. I need water.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure.